Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot, but the Grinch who lived just north of Whoville did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why, no one quite knows the reason. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. But I think the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating the Whos, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a holly Who wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas, it's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming. I must find a way to keep Christmas from coming. For tomorrow I know all the Who girls and boys will wake bright and early, they'll rush for their toys. And then, oh, the noise. Oh, the noise, 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 noise. Then the Who's young and old will sit down to a feast, and they'll feast, and they'll feast, and they'll feast, feast. Feast! Feast! They'll feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast. Raw roast beast is a feast I can't stand in the least. And then they'll do something I hate most of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, they'll stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'll stand hand in hand, and those Whos will start singing. And they'll sing, and they'll sing, and they'll sing, 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 sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I put up with it now. I must stop Christmas from coming. But how? Then the Grinch got an idea. The Grinch got an awful idea. He got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do. The Grinch laughed in his throat. I'll make a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled and clucked. What a great Grinchy trick. With his hat and his coat, I'll look just like Saint Nick.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You really are a heel. You're as cuddly as a cactus, you're as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch. You're a bad banana with a greasy black peel. You're a monster, Mr. Grinch. Your heart's an empty hole. Your brain is full of spiders. You've got garlic in your soul, Mr. Grinch. I wouldn't touch you with a 39.5-foot pole.
All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around. But since reindeer are scarce, there were none to be found. Did that not stop the Grinch? The Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he took his dog Max and he took some black thread and he tied a big horn on top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh and he whistled for Max. Then the Grinch said, "Giddy up!" And the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Whos lay a snooze in in their town. All their windows were dark. No one knew he was there. All the Whos were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house on the square, "This is stop number 1," the old Grinchy Claus hissed, as he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pitch. But if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once for a minute or two. Then he stuck out his head. Out the fireplace flew. Where the little Who stockings hung all in a row. "These stockings," he grinned, "are the first things to go." Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant. Around the whole room he took every present. Pop guns, pampoogas, pantukas, and drums, checkerboards, bizzlebigs, popcorn, and plums. And he stuffed them in bags. Then the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags, one by one, up the chimney.
You're a vile one, Mr. Grinch. You have termites in your smile. You have all the tender sweetness of a seasick crocodile, Mr. Grinch. Given the choice between the two of you, I would take the seasick crocodile. You're a rotter, Mr. Grinch. You're the king of sinful songs. Your heart's a dead tomatoes, bloodshot, moldy, blown spots, Mr. Grinch. You're a 3-decker sauerkraut sandwich with arsenic sauce.
Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took the last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. "Now," grinned the Grinch, "I will stuff up the tree." As the Grinch took the tree, as he started to shove, he heard a small sound like the of a dove. He turned around fast, and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou Who was no more than 2. She stared at the Grinch, and she said,
"Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?"
But you know that old Grinch, who was so smart and so slick, he thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick.
"Why, my sweet little tots,"
The fake Santa Claus lied.
"there's a light on this tree with one light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there and bring it back here."
And this fib fooled the child. Then he patted her head, and he got her a drink and sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who was in bed with her cup, he crept to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar. Then the last thing he took was the log from their fire. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. And the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was too small for a mouse. And he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses.
You nauseate me, Mr. Grinch, with a nauseous super nose. You were crooked, dirty, chucky, and you drive a crooked horse, Mr. Grinch. Your soul is an appalling dump heap, overflowing with the most disgraceful assortment of rubbish imaginable, mangled up, entangled up, knots. small one, Mr. Grinch. You're a nasty, wasty skunk. Your heart is full of unwashed socks. Your soul is full of gunk, Mr. Grinch. The three words that best describe you are as follows, and I quote, stink, stank, stunk.
It was a quarter of dawn, all the Who's still abed, all the Who's still a-snooze when he packed up his sled. Packed it up with their presents, their ribbons, their wrappings, their snoof and their fuzzles, their tringlers and trappings. 10,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it.
Pooh-pooh to the Who's.
He was grinchily humming.
They're finding out now no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then the Who's down in Whoville will all cry, woo-hoo-hoo. That's a noise,
Grinned the Grinch.
that I simply must hear.
He paused, and the Grinch put a hand to his ear. And he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low and then started to grow. But this sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded glad. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling.
How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags.
He puzzled and puzzled till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch had a thought. He hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. And what happened then? Why, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And then the true meaning of Christmas came through, and the Grinch found the strength of 10 Grinches, plus 2. And now that his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light. With a smile to his soul, he descended Mount Crumpet, cheerily blowing whoo-hoo-hoo-hoo on his trumpet. He rode into Whoville. He brought back their toys. He brought back their floof to the Who girls and boys. He brought back their snoof and their tringlers and fuzzlers. He brought back their pantukas, their dafflers and wuzzles. He brought everything back, all the food for the feast. And he, himself the Grinch, carved the roast beast. Welcome Christmas, bring your cheer. Cheer to all the Who's, far and near. Christmas Day is in our grasp, so long as we have hands to grasp. Christmas Day will always be just as long as we have we. Welcome Christmas while we stand, heart to heart and hand